Hey everybody, Will here back again with the weather, and as usual, we got a lot to talk about today. We got a blast of cold air coming down into the country, we got a significant severe weather threat next week, and we even got some snow in parts of the central United States this week. Let's get into it. First things first, we'll take a look at what's going on right now. We currently have a low pressure over the Great Lakes region, and it's ushering in a lot of cold air to parts of the country. Temperatures are well below average as far south as Arkansas and Mississippi. We also got some snow in parts of Canada and the northeastern United States, but for the most part, it's rain. Temperatures right now are well below average. There's a pretty big swath across the central and eastern part of the country where temperatures are anywhere from 10 to 15 degrees below average. If we go out in time and take a look at what's going on here, this thing moves offshore, the cold air starts to shift off to the east, and then we have another storm system moving in, and that's going to be our severe weather threat. And as we go into mid next week, you can see this very strong low pressure starts to form in the central United States. Got a lot of heavy snow on the backside, anywhere from Kansas up into the Dakotas, up into northern Minnesota. Meanwhile, out ahead of it, this area right here has a big time severe weather risk. I'll show you guys the Storm Prediction Center's outlooks in just a minute here. And as this thing moves off to the northeast, it strengthens more, it brings in more cold air, and it brings snow to some places. And then eventually it moves up into Canada. There could also be a lingering severe weather threat in parts of the southeast here. However, that's a little uncertain still at this time. Finally, this thing starts to scoot on out of here, and things calm down a bit. I wouldn't pay attention to this right now because models are kind of all over the place, and this is only one run. And since it's 2 weeks out, it's probably not going to happen, or it's going to change a lot. But we'll see. It's always something to keep an eye on. If we take a look at snow totals, this will change a little bit, but there's a big swath of anywhere from 5 to 8 to maybe even excess of a foot of snow all the way up from Colorado through parts of Wyoming, Nebraska, North and South Dakota, up into northern Minnesota. And that low pressure that's bringing that severe weather threat is going to bring heavy snow to a lot of areas. And remember, I mentioned we have that low pressure sitting over the Great Lakes, and what it's doing is it's bringing down cold air, and there's just a little bit of moisture to squeeze out some snowflakes. So areas as far south as Tennessee, parts of the Appalachian Mountains, you guys are all seeing a dusting to even excess of a few inches of snow in the higher elevations. There's a couple areas that are under winter storm warnings in those mountains, but it should melt fairly quickly once this thing moves out of here as temperatures warm up pretty quickly. There'll also be some rain and snow across parts of the west coast. Oregon, Washington, the mountains could see over a foot of snow. The Sierra Nevadas, up to a foot of snow in some spots. If we take a look at the forecast rainfall, you can see right here this is accounting for the snow, so it's a little bit heavier. But parts of the southeast, you guys can see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches where those heavier thunderstorms set up and train over. Even parts of the west coast where it's very dry, you guys can see a few tenths of an inch of rain. Not enough to be very beneficial, but it's definitely better than nothing. Up across the Great Lakes into the northeast, widespread swath of 1 to 3 inches of rain expected. With that being said, now we'll switch over and take a look at a significant severe weather threat for next week. This is all really going to get started on Monday afternoon into the evening hours. The Storm Prediction Center already has a broad slight risk in place for many areas, including Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Arlington, Texas. As we shift into Tuesday, it spreads off to the east a little bit and it's over a more widespread area. Anywhere from southern Iowa down into northeastern Texas, you guys are all under the gun for severe weather. Once again, Dallas, Fort Worth, Oklahoma City, some of these same cities are under the risk once again. They're also noting that there could be an area bumped up to an enhanced risk in the middle of this. All hazards are possible for all of these days, including damaging winds, hail, and tornadoes. The storm mode is a little bit uncertain, but it is looking possible that there could be supercells, but we'll find out a little bit more on that as we get closer to the event. As we move into Wednesday, another slight risk for a lot of these same areas, but it shifts off to the east a little bit. Anywhere from north central Louisiana up into parts of Iowa. Once again, you guys are all under the gun for severe weather. Dallas, you're in the risk again. Memphis, Tennessee, you're in it now. Kansas City, Missouri, Omaha, Nebraska, and Tulsa, Oklahoma. Once again, tornadoes, hail, winds, all big time threats, and I think this will also get bumped up to an enhanced risk in the coming days, but we will have to wait and see what the Storm Prediction Center has to say on that. Now we'll take a look as to why this is happening, and as we go into Tuesday afternoon into the evening, you can see this low pressure right here. Big old bowling ball. You got winds flying around this thing, and winds in the lower levels of the atmosphere are coming out of the south. So you got this change in direction that causes a little bit of spin in the atmosphere. And as you can see, as we go into Tuesday afternoon into Wednesday, this pushes off to the east a bit. And you got very strong wind shear above this area right here, and that's why that severe weather threat is currently in place. And as you can see, as we go later into the week, it shifts into the southeast a little bit, but it is not as strong. Winds are a little less favorable, meaning the severe weather threat probably won't be as high, but there is still a risk for it. Another thing to note is that this trough is negatively tilted. You can see it's kind of tilted this way. Positive troughs are kind of tilted the other way, kind of like this. And when they're negatively tilted like this, the way the winds flow around it just makes it more conducive for severe weather. There's a bit more to that, but I'm just going to be broad on that to make it a little bit more understandable. Now, if we take a look at the instability, as I always mention, that is the fuel these thunderstorms need. Generally, 500 to 1,000 supports severe weather, and anything above that is even more conducive for severe weather. And we're starting off here early Monday morning into the afternoon, and instability is flowing north into parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma and Missouri. And by the time we're into Monday afternoon, we have this area right here of 2,000 Cape, which is more than enough for severe weather. Monday might not be as bad as Tuesday, though, because at this time, that trough is still out in this area, and those favorable winds aren't quite there yet. But as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, that will no longer be the case. So we go into Monday night, instability decreases a little bit due to loss of daytime heating. And as we go into Tuesday afternoon, these values really start to increase again. Once again, the eastern half of Oklahoma down into parts of Texas up through Arkansas and Missouri, anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 Cape, more than enough for severe weather. And now this trough is finally over here, so you got these winds overlapping this Cape, which results in significant severe weather potentially. Now as we go into Tuesday night, once again it calms down a little bit, but as we go into Wednesday, instability increases once again. See right here, early Wednesday afternoon into the evening is when it's highest. Same areas, once again, parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, down into Texas and Louisiana, up into parts of Missouri and even eastern Kansas. And if we take a look at the wind dynamics for the exact same time as this picture right here, you can see that troughs here. You got those winds veering around it, and severe weather will be likely. So that's about all I got to say on this severe weather threat for now. Things are still a little bit fuzzy, being 4 to 6 days out. But to wrap it all up, there's going to be a very strong low pressure developing across the central United States. It's going to bring severe weather on the south side and a swath of very heavy snow across the north side. The exact track of this could change a little bit, but this gives a general idea of what's going to happen. Big time severe weather threat, I think the hardest hit areas will be right here in this circle. Some places in this circle could see 2, even 3 days of severe weather, and you guys are all under that risk. Now, I'm not going to call this an outbreak yet or just hype it up, but I will say this event does have a high ceiling. I think it could be significant. If all the parameters line up at the same time, I think there could be an outbreak. We'll have to wait and see for sure, and we'll find out, of course, as we get a little bit closer. But I'm going to wrap it up there. That's about all I got to say on this. Be sure to stay updated with the forecast if you live in these areas that are going to be under the gun for severe weather. I'll have an update out Monday afternoon with the new risks and a lot of new information. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe, get the word out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day.